Amigos, right fans, you got Jaime En Fuego back for the 29th installment of my Tales from the Crypt coverage here on Enfuegotainment, where I cover the hottest entertainment with an edge. And Tales from the Crypt, man, that is definitely hot, edgy entertainment, right? I mean, it was on HBO, it's been 7 seasons there, and when I realized there were 93 episodes and 31 days in the month of October, I figured why not cover 3 a day, work through the entire series. It was a blessing. It was a curse at the same time because it has been very rigorous and just grueling, but hey, I nearly made it through. There's only a couple episodes left now. So, I always cover my Bueno, my Malo, and my Feo here on Enfuegotainment. So, some good, some bad, and some ugly. And we've got 3 episodes to cover today, as has been the regimen so far. And this first one, the Bueno episode, the good episode, is called Horror in the Night. It's masterfully directed by Russell Mulcahy, who you know did Highlander 1, amazing, Highlander 2, dog crap, and even the Renegade cut couldn't really save it. Sorry, man. I think it should have been a standalone. But yeah, in any event, he's back to direct, and he's actually done some great Tales from the Crypt work before, so it's really nice to see him come back to actually be one of those little flashes in the pan during this pretty bad 7th season. He did Split Second about these lumberjacks in an earlier season. That was amazing. And then he did People Who Live in Brass Hearses, which was overrated, to say the least. You know, Bill Paxton, oh goodness, it could have been so good. But in any event, he's back for this, and you've got my boy John Harrison scripting, man. Oh yeah, so you know it's going to be great. He's been involved with Tales from the Crypt before, doing I Shall Kill You, one of my favorite episodes, had Tim Roth in it, tremendous. And this one is just a assault on the senses. You've got this jewel thief. He's played by James Wilby, and he, you know, the whole thing goes wrong. There's some double crossing. He ends up with the stash, but he runs and goes to hide out in this small, seedy little motel. He's wounded, and he's just tripping out. He's seeing all kinds of crazy images, man. I mean, like blood. We've got, you know, some shining nods going on, you know, blood coming out of bathtubs and all kinds of craziness like that. And then you've got Elizabeth McGovern as this weird woman who keeps kind of appearing to him, sexing him up a little bit, but you're not really sure, is she a hallucination? Is she really there? Like, what the heck is going on? So it's very vague, which is good though, because it lends to like just the trippy, dreamy, very scary nature of the entire thing. And everyone knows, you know, Gosford Park, she won tons of awards, nominations, stuff like that, Emmys, Golden Globes. I mean, the chick is a master thespian and, you know, a tremendous talent, which is one thing that is very just no bueno. You know, just to segue really briefly about the 7th season, they brought on so much amazing British talent. And no offense, Americans, I being an American, but I think people in Europe take their acting a lot more seriously. They really do. They're better at knowing their lines. There's a reason they do theater where they have to memorize everything, whereas American actors, it's like blah, 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 line, blah, 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 line. You know, they're not as just on point with it, you know? There's just not as much discipline as we have. So a lot of talent going to waste in some cases, but not in this instance. You know, with the team of Russell and then Mr. Harrison together, it's just amazing, dude, I gotta say. And I actually think Resident Evil Extinction was not as bad as a lot of people said it was. That was one of the few times when somebody besides Mr. Anderson decided to direct a Resident Evil film. So, yeah, in any event, this one is, it's a visual onslaught. It's fantastic, and it is well-deserving of the Bueno title today. So let's get into our Malo episode, guys. Yes, that is correct, my friends, my fright-tastic amigos. And this one's called The Kidnapper. And talk about more wasted talent, man. You've got Steve Coogan in this one. Lots of comedy work in the UK for that guy, you know, but most mainstream audiences probably think, oh yeah, he's that guy who was in the Night at the Museum movies. And for me, I always think of him in Hamlet 2, Rock Me Sexy Jesus. So, you know, funny guy, and this is another Tales from the Crypt episode where it's trying to be funnier, and, you know, the concept is just about Coogan encountering this girl who's pregnant. He's got his own, like, kind of, like, pawn slash, like, resale, like, junk shop of sorts. I don't know. Didn't we just talk about this type of concept in the Last Respects episode in our previous episode? Oh, goodness. Talk about recycling ideas. And that pregnant girl is played by Julia Sawalha, I believe is how I'm pronouncing her name. She was on Absolutely Fabulous. In fact, there is a big presence of absolutely fabulous peeps here in the 7th season Tales from the Crypt, being the UK and all, and that's like over 20 years I think that show ran, and then I've got a movie coming out. Scary. Very scary, I'm telling you. And so awesomely, we've got John Harrison back scripting, yeah! But he's working with Scott Nimmerfro, who is kind of losing me here in the 7th season, man. And he's pretty much been overseeing all the storyboarding and scripting and stuff for the last couple seasons himself. So Nimmerfro, just like Gilbert Adler and A.L. Katz, is pretty much a fixture the entire Tales from the Crypt, just like, you know, inner workings at this time in the show's 11th hour. And so you would think, yeah, this actually has some potential, but maybe it's just the concept alone. Coogan gets jealous after the baby is born because he has this girl just move in and live with him. She doesn't have anywhere else to go, and so he has ulterior motives from the get-go. So, you know, things probably aren't going to go so well for his character. Directed by James H. Spencer, who I think he was still crediting himself as James Spencer at this particular time. Not a director. Amazing production designer and art director. He did work on Poltergeist. He did Gremlins, both 1 and 2. He worked on a TV series called The Beast that wasn't too bad. He worked on The Burbs with Mr. Oh goodness, why is your name eluding me? Tom Hanks. Yeah, that's right, man. So, I mean, you would think, but the guy didn't direct anything before or since, except for just this tiny short that nobody saw. So, yeah, I mean, the direction isn't necessarily the problem, though. The reason this is the MALO episode is because it's just a lame, silly story. Not scary at all, like donuts, man, nothing. So really just a bad idea for an episode for the sheer fact, in my opinion, that no scares, no chills. I mean, everything that you would expect to happen happens. It's incredibly predictable. So yeah, not even talent could save this one. So let's get into the feo, the ugly, that actually had some redeeming qualities in its ugliness. So let's get into this. This is called Cold War. And is this another lame war one, like you know, Escape that we saw earlier this season? No, thank the Lord it's not. And this one actually has a big familiar face for the first time in a while. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Ewan McGregor stars in this one, man. And he was about to just break through into the mainstream because he had like just done Train Spotting. It was just about to come out, I believe, when this was hitting. So he's still looking very like kind of just, you know, drugged out, man. And he has this Bonnie and Clyde thing going on with this girl. They're going around robbing places, convenience stores, being crazy, shooting shite up. And she's played by this little blondie named Jane Horrocks, who another absolutely fabulous person. I always think of her as just tons of the great voiceover work that she's done. God, goodness, one that I really loved was Corpse Bride, where she was the Black Widow Spider, and then she was the old lady, and she did a lot of the songs, and man, she was great in that. So, but yeah, they're this dynamic duo, and they're going around just wreaking havoc, and they have a secret, and the secret is not revealed, which is why they're so perfect for each other until the very end. It's a feo twist, and it's what really actually turned this episode into something a little more interesting and less run-of-the-mill, but interestingly directed, I must say, by Mr. Andy Morahan, who did tons of music videos like Pet Shop Boys, and, you know, I think he did like Tears for Fears or Duran Duran, or I don't know, some of that stuff. But most notably for me, he did the Guns N' Roses video trilogy of Don't Cry, November Rain, and Estranged. British director. He also did Highlander: The Final Dimension. So we've talked about Highlander in like 2 of the 3 episodes today. Crazy, man. Final Dimension, well, it was better than, you know, The Quickening. It's still, goodness, man, it just was not giving the McLeod clan the proper credit that they deserved, in my opinion. But, you know, McGregor is good, so is Horrocks. They bring a feo bueno, a good ugliness to their performances, and the twist is, it's gross, it's kind of sad, it's interesting, and it kind of makes sense. So there you have it. It's actually a bueno feo episode. It's not the kind where you're like scratching your head saying, what the F, man, this ugliness is totally silly. And then you've got Nimmerfro scripting again, and actually pretty much maybe one of his best scripts since Werewolf Concerto, at least for me. So there you have it, guys. This has been the 29th installment of my creeptastic Tales from the Crypt coverage. I hope you have had as much fun with it as I have, since there's only 2 episodes left here in October. So I extend a grande gracias, that is right, and make sure to tune in to all of my spectacular coverage that I do specifically at thehorrorshowchannel.com, just like you're seeing it spelled below. We're also on YouTube at The Horror Show Channel, so please search, like, subscribe, seek us out. We really appreciate it. We do film reviews, celebrity interviews, makeup tutorials, comedy sketches, convention coverage, I mean, the whole 9 yards, man. Horror news. We keep it spooktacular and scary informative. And I've been Jaime En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors just at Jaime En Fuego, exactly as you're seeing it spelled below. I spend most of my time on Twitter, but I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and obviously here on YouTube. So until we reach the 30th installment, a milestone in my Tales from the Crypt coverage, I look forward to seeing all of you mañana. So adios, and stay scared, amigos. 'Tis an order.